I'm so patient. My patience is just gone now. I don't know what it is. Like I think because I've been working on I've had so many projects this week because I found myself I don't know, before Christmas getting like sad and realizing that I didn't have like any projects that I was working on. You know how when you just get kind of down when you don't have anything to do, you know? So I started giving myself projects, and I'm learning a different kind of like programming and some super nerdy stuff. And it's for like the past week, I've been trying to get this one thing built, and I finally got it done. But now it's like, okay, now I'm over it because like I spent so much time on it. I don't know. It's weird. It's not hard. You could do it if you put your mind to it. You could do it. I would help you, but I don't want to. But there's plenty of people. It's just, but like I did a thing today, like something that I had an idea to have like movie watch parties, but you can't like with the community, but you can't do stuff like that on Facebook because Facebook's like you can't stream a Hollywood movie, so you have to like build your own server to do it. So I did that, and now that I finally got it working, I'm like, oh great, now what? Yeah, I think we're gonna do the Goonies first. But I figured like it's like a way for when we don't have a Sunday fun day, you know. Now at least they got something we could stream. We could watch a movie. They're saying they can't hear you.
Thing.
Me? Yeah, I fixed it. It was on my end.
Oh, okay.
Are there copyright laws? Kinda. I'm just not going to pay attention
But
to
what they
those.
don't know,
Yeah,
right?
basically.
It's fine.
This is awesome because, like,
So,
okay, I think I fixed where they can't hear you, but now I can't bring up chat. And I don't care. I don't care. It's fine.
no-
There will be no chat.
as long as I don't have to do anything,
You don't have to do
because
anything
I
at all.
don't know
I
how
will
to fix
just,
anything.
I can just put this here, and I can put this here, and then I can see if somebody's trying to say something. Anyway, tell me about Roanoke. No, I'm just kidding. So you want you wanted to talk about Roanoke? I feel like
This
we've
is gonna go well, isn't it?
I read
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I did read like because you asked me you were like have you read my ideas? I was like no, but I did read them.
I
I did.
and and
Oh, you want my opinion?
yeah.
You know, I like where your head's at, but okay. So let's just go through it first. You, as
Okay.
far as I can tell, think that the cask is at a basically an old arcade.
No, I
Okay.
think that's no. Yeah,
Okay. Did I miss
because that's
something?
gone.
Well, where an old
No, I
arcade
think that that's
was.
what right. But I think that it's. I mean, there's been so much change there that I think that it's under the pier,
Okay.
the Nags Head Pier, because that was just out the back door from the Football Palace. And I also think that that's what is being referred to in the verse, the under that which can be last touched or first seen standing.
Okay. So now some people come up with ideas and like they can just skip over half of it because half of their ideas are common what everybody believes, right? So it's easy to just skip over that and sort of understand what they're talking about. But when ideas are, I don't want to say out of left field, but different, like completely different, you can't really skip over it or people are going to be lost. So let's start at the beginning of this idea.
Okay. Um, so I think that passing two friends of Octave was never supposed to be a proper noun for us. I think Gift Giver's latest hint like shed a whole bunch of light on things. And one of the things that he said was that like Byron never anticipated us being able to see the Japanese version of the book.
I mean, that just
Like
makes
he didn't think
sense.
that we were right. So if we didn't have that book, then we would never think that octave is going to be a proper noun.
But that doesn't change the
So I
fact
think
that. Well, so here's a couple of things. Number one, we absolutely would have thought of that because we didn't have the Japanese books when we knew of octave. So we absolutely tied that together before the Japanese hints. But us not knowing that he gave that hint in Japan doesn't change the fact. Like, are you saying he's lying to the Japanese?
no, I'm saying that they are at a more disadvantage than we are because we already know about the Wright brothers and Octave Chanute.
Right.
So like we would already be in the Outer Banks area. I think that that's what he was trying to like make a level playing field kind of for them
Yeah.
because that's not really something that they learn in school about the
Yeah.
first fight in Kitty Hawk and all that. So I think for us, like, yeah, we're going to naturally think octave, but in the Japanese hints, he talks about how like octave usually refers to the number eight or music and scales.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the part that we're supposed to take.
So he is
So like I
lying
think
to the Japanese people when he says, "But octave is a proper noun."
no, I don't think so.
Okay, so he's saying
I think
octave
that
is a proper noun, but what you're saying is not. I don't understand.
I just feel like we already know about Octave Chanute.
Uh huh.
So like yeah, it could be a proper noun, like for us to get us to think of Octave Chanute, but we already know about him and the Wright brothers. I just feel like he's trying to give them an equal playing field, if
Uh
you
huh.
will, to get them in the area that we're already in.
Okay.
So like I think Octave Chanute plays in here.
Mm-hmm.
I do. But because it's not capitalized for us, like we need to look at other things. Like so basically I think that octave means the sounds, like the Croatan sound and like waves, like sound waves. I think the first four lines of the whole verse are trying to get us to a specific spot in North Carolina.
Okay.
And we kind of already know about Kitty Hawk and Kill Devil Hills and the Wright brothers, but they wouldn't. I feel like it's trying to get them thinking in the area that we're already in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's still like no, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make sense at all. Like because you're taking this one line and you're like, this line means multiple things. Did you freeze? Or are you just doing weird things with
No,
your phone?
did I?
Your stream
I could be
is
doing
going a
weird
little
things with
weird.
my face. It
It looked
happens a lot.
oh, it was so funny. Okay, so but that was funny. You have to go back and watch the stream just to see what you were doing. It was weird. It
I
doesn't
can't
make
wait.
sense to. So what I think you're saying is this line means multiple things, right?
Right.
But what
Yeah.
Byron says is it means one thing and it's a proper noun. So
But does he? Because why wouldn't
yes,
he just say that it's a proper
he
noun though?
says octave usually relates to the number 8 and it's used in music. However, Mr. Price hints that in this case it is a proper noun. He did not give me further hints. He just said it's a proper
Well,
like
right,
the
but why not just say that it's a proper noun? Why
he
throw in the
does
music part?
just say it's a proper noun. He's like, octave could mean a lot of things, but in this case, it's a proper noun.
Okay.
So, and that's like, that's one of the few things that we have direct from Byron. Like, Byron's telling you exactly what this line means.
Oh, he's
It's
telling
one,
them what it means.
are you not reading? Like, okay, well, then we'll play this another way. Much like the gift giver said in his post, you're either working on Byron's hunt or you're working on your own. So which one are we talking about today? Are we talking about Byron's hunt or your hunt?
No, we're
Because
talking about Byron's hunt.
okay, well then that line is a proper noun because Byron says so. I'm getting very like
Okay.
I feel like I'm attacking you, and I don't mean to. I feel like I'm getting aggressive. I'm
We're only at
sorry.
line one, too. Like,
I know, right? This is gonna be fun.
this is gonna be a
You,
long live stream.
you,
In December.
just for the sake of conversation, you do know that when we disagree, it's not personal, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Because I think, especially
We're like
behind the
both
scenes,
ghosts. Okay.
I think, especially behind the scenes, I've at least shown you that I care. You know, that I'm not trying just to be a dick. I like these kind
Right.
of conversations. I like the argument, and that sometimes leads me to argue a little too hard. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and
And
I
I'm
mean
sorry
we
about that.
are only on line one. Just save a little. Okay.
Okay, I'll try.
All right, so we're gonna agree to disagree already. Anyway, in December, I feel like it's just telling us North Carolina because it's the 12th state. December is 12, North Carolina is the 12th state.
Okay.
So
We
somewhere
have two
there's
things that,
octave
so two lines that give us the exact same thing.
in North Carolina. Well, no, not necessarily.
Well,
I
so
mean, was
you
Octave
said
Chanute from
you
North
said
Carolina?
you said sound was the water, and it was all these other things, and not necessarily octave, but also octave, and also December, and that all gives us okay, North Carolina. He's
Well, no, I think
first you find with the first line you find Kitty Hawk, and then the second line you find the state it's in. I get it. We can move on.
I just feel like those two things work together to tell you it's North Carolina, but North Carolina is a big state. So octave is telling us like by the sounds and the waves and where Octave Chanute and the Wright brothers were. Like I feel like it's trying to narrow down that part of North Carolina.
Okay.
And so are we good on that?
Yeah,
Or do
yeah,
you hate
yeah.
December and
No, no, no. It's fine. I mean, it's no
I'm
worse than
just
it's a road. You know, they're both equally kind
right.
of all right.
But it's also a road. No, I'm just kidding. Um, so So, Ride the Man of Oz, The Land Near the Window. I think the Man of Oz is the scarecrow. I think it's a tin man. But I also think that in the way Byron Price calls an iron horse a motorcycle, I think the Tin Man is a boat, specifically the USS Constitution or Ironsides. I think Boston and Roanoke are connected.
There is a little
So
bit
we're
of
riding the
like
Man of Oz, which is metal,
there is a little
huh?
bit of a pushback here. Like Byron does say Iron Horse is a motorcycle, but so does the magazine Iron Horse. And for God, Jesus, John Bon Jovi calls Iron Horse a motorcycle. Like that's a common thing. This dude being a boat, how does that relate to? How is it the same?
Because he's made of metal. He's the man of metal. He's the Tin Man.
Uh huh.
And so like a man of metal is a boat. Like,
Or a car, or a plane, or
oh, it could be. So December's a road. I'm just kidding.
no, no, no. It's
So
fine.
I think that
Dude, it was cool. It's fine.
but I think it's iron sides.
Hmm.
Like he does have iron sides. Like he's a tin man, he's a boat.
Okay.
And then we take it to the land near the window. And that's the outline of Manio, yes, but also the face of the scarecrow is like Nag's Head. I think that it's a rebus for Nag's Head.
Okay.
So I think essentially we're coming from Boston down the Atlantic. We need to be in North Carolina, like near Nag's Head. I think that's basically what those four first lines are doing, is narrowing down where we need to be.
Okay.
Okay. And then the road that leads to Dark Forest, I do think is the Virginia Dare Trail, because that's the road that's on the other side of like the Nags Head Pier, like the water side, you know what I mean? And that's where the Football Palace was, and the
Now,
Oz nightclub, actually,
now
which was Atlantis too.
how is that the Virginia Dare? How how do you relate the two? I'm just curious.
Well, because Dark Forest isn't that on her monument or something?
It's on a plaque.
by the
The
Elizabeth, or
entrance
a
to the
plaque or
Elizabethan
whatever.
Gardens. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's also how the Roanoke colony was described as disappearing into dark forest, right?
Kinda. So it was the Roanoke colony considered anything other than their little colony, their little colony on the island, dark forest. I don't know what other word to use. Their homestead. Anything outside of that was they called the dark forest. So anything else on
Okay.
that island.
Well, the capital D also tells me dare. And then forest, I think, is a color. I think it's green.
But
I
wait, wait,
thought this
wait.
for Jockey's Ridge too, but
But are you just saying like general knowledge? You would know dark forest means because dark forest
well, no.
isn't on the road that you're at. We're just kind of associating it because of Virginia Dare.
Yeah, kind of, and I probably shouldn't do that.
I mean, it's
Um,
fine. It's your.
but if the dark forest, this is your story, lady.
You
Um,
should, yeah.
I feel like the line after that, where it says where white is in color, could just mean that dark forest is green, but it's also off of Virginia Dare Trail, so it's a capital D. So I just think that, again, it's narrowing down our spot. And now we're looking for something that has green and where white is in color with two maps. And now looking at the medieval scarecrow, he obviously looks like a foosball player.
Does he?
Yes.
Foosball players don't have arms.
Yeah, they do. They have really, really long arms connected by metal bars.
I mean, I guess if we're gonna go that far, okay, let's just keep going.
That's not even that far of a stretch.
Foosball players don't have arms. I'm sorry. They're it's just torsos.
But the bars that you turn, yeah, but they're still
Okay.
connected to each other by metal.
All right.
Oh boy. Okay. This is going well. All right. So white is in color.
Okay.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Why does it
That's
color?
the soccer ball
Okay.
with the two different jersey colors of a football table,
Yeah.
foosball table.
All right.
Um, with two maps, I think describes like the goals on each side. Basically, it's telling us to go to this football palace. I think the medieval scarecrow looks like a foosball player, and he's in a castle, which is a palace. So the two maps are the two goals, and after circle and square, to me says the circle is the ball, and then the square is like the goal or the table itself. That's more like of a rectangle. So I just
Okay.
think that it's describing the foosball table from dark forest down to after circle and square. And so then in July and August, when it got really hot in that arcade, people just went out the back door to the beach, to the water to cool off. I found an article, I swear.
I believe you.
So in July and August, a path beckons to mica and driftwood. So like when you got too hot in there, you would go out the back door and you would be at the beach. And then right to your left is the Nags Head Pier. So your mica and driftwood is obviously the driftwood coming in from the ocean, the mica is the sand. And then under that, which maybe last touched or first seen standing, to me says the pier. And after that, it says look north at the wing. And when you look, you peer at something. And north of you is the Wright Brothers Memorial. And then you dig to achieve by dauntless and unconquerable determination your goal. Goal and pass are like soccer terms to me. So, and the dauntless and unconquerable was in the Japanese clues, it was said to you needed to get out an encyclopedia and look it up. And I feel like the Wright Brothers Memorial would have that on it in an encyclopedia.
Okay.
And you're looking north at the wing and digging and sand, which is also dauntless and almost unconquerable.
Digging in sand is very difficult. I know that for a fact.
I mean, not if you wet it. Not if it's wet. It's easier to dig.
Yeah, if it's soaked. Yeah. If it's soaked, it's easier. I guess if you wait for high tide to like just go out and then dig. This is
You
difficult for
love it,
me.
don't you?
It's difficult for me because I don't want to say you're like I don't who am I? You know, why is my opinion any better than anybody else's? It's difficult to talk about ideas like this because we're just talking about your ideas, right? And when I if I say like something doesn't sound right, it's an attack on your ideas. My big thing here is, and I'm not just talking about your ideas, but this comes up a lot, and I have the same thought anytime a theory like this pops up, and it's you're ignoring 80% of this verse. You're just picking out little words, and you're being like, these words mean this. You're like, Octave is just trying to get you to the area, but you're ignoring past two friends of. Like, it's a very direct instruction. It's Byron telling you to do something. And if we take that part of the verse out and we're just like, hey, he's just trying to get you to the area. Like, what is there to talk about? Like, okay, so octave means this and this means this, and all of a sudden we're at a foosball arcade. I mean, I'm not saying that foosball arcade idea is bad because, but what I'm saying is like, you're taking the meat of the verse out and you're taking direction and you're taking nuance out. And you're just like, dark forest means there. Like, it means Virginia Dare, or like, I don't know, look north means peer. Like, I guess it can. If you're peering at something, you could be glancing at something. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're just picking out a word and you're like, this means that. And it's hard to talk about that. It's difficult to talk about it without just
Well, I
attacking the
mean,
idea.
past two friends of Octave, even if you did do that and you were on the road, like to pass them, you would be going south. To be able to look north at the wing and pass two friends of Octave, you would have to go south of that.
Let me pull up a map. I mean, you would have to, if you were to look north at something, you don't necessarily have to be going south of it to peer back. Like, let me pull up a map.
And if Octave is Octave Chanute right from the get-go, then why does he wait until the end of the verse to mention dauntless and unconquerable?
I don't know. Why
We're
does he wait
already
to the end of the
there.
verse to mention wing? Like, I have no idea. It's not solved, so I can't say. So yeah, if you were to go from the Wright Brothers National Memorial, you would be going southwest, then you would head east, and then north back to, and then it would hang a little bit of a western back to the Elizabethan Gardens. If you were there, why will my meeting end in 10 minutes? What the hell is going on with Zoom? I may have to start Zoom back up. I have no idea what's going on. I just noticed it's got like an estimated time.
Yeah, it has it on mine too.
That's weird.
Usually the free version will like cap you at 40 minutes, I think.
I don't have the free version. Oh, I had to. This is my fault. I may have to start this session over again. I had to do like a Zoom meeting for work and I signed in as a different account.
Oh.
Yeah. Give me a second. Let me send you another link, okay?
Okay.
I'll be right back. I mean, I'm going to stay here for everybody else because I'm a loser. And that's what I do. Switch account. New meeting. Look, it's me.
Recording in progress.
Am I being mean? I'm not trying to be mean. Maybe I'm just having a bad day. I always feel like I'm just like I feel like Ash. I don't know. Such a nice lady. Twin George. I wonder if I can do the thing where I make my one fate. No, I guess I can't because it's not mirrored. Ashley's coming in. She's almost here. Yay! I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about that. I had to do like a Zoom meeting for work, and I figured it was like an all hands, like company wide meeting, and I figured I shouldn't sign in as the secret podcast.
Like, I'm capping this bad boy at 40 minutes. We're done.
That's not it. I promise. I promise. But okay, so like I understand your frustration, and then other hunters' frustrations when they put out sort of ideas that go completely against the grain from what a lot of people think. Like I get it. You feel dismissed and you feel disrespected sometimes, I would imagine. But do you also understand where the other side is coming from? Where like, at least in this
I
case.
do.
Because I have
do.
seen you guys get a lot of shit that you don't really need, but you know what I'm saying? But
Well, I just feel like it's been this long, like we're doing something not correct. Like I feel like even if my idea is horrible, like whatever I'm saying, like maybe will spark some thought or whatever, just something different. And I try to keep in mind too, like I'm an over researcher. It's horrible.
yeah.
But like Gift Giver said, he was like, I don't know why you guys are trying to overlay maps. Like I don't know why you're trying to do all this. The technology they had in 82 was like not great. Like they couldn't do this. And all the stuff we found with Google, I feel like is more of a detriment than anything.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is.
So like I mean, without the internet, yeah, Cleveland wouldn't be solved, but we also wouldn't know that Dark Forest is on a plaque. July and August is on a plaque that's really nowhere near the Wright Brothers
Yeah.
Memorial. Like,
Well, I mean, assuming we didn't research, like I still think most of these things we would know, because things like the Dark Forest plaque we know because somebody went to the Elizabethan Gardens and took a picture of it, but that person was a searcher, you know. So a lot of these things were found in a sort of organic way. I feel like once we stop, once we start assuming, well, I can't say that either. I don't know how to explain it. It's
I just feel like this one seems to like put you all over Dare County, and like none of the other ones did that. They got you to a specific spot in whatever city you were looking in.
I mean, this one kind of does too, though. It gives you direction, you know, just because.
It doesn't. How do you pass two friends of Octave in one sentence though and end up in Manio?
I mean, you follow the verse.
Like in one sentence. I
Pass your friends of Octave on the road. You make a right, ride the Man of Oz. Like you follow the sign, ride Baum Bridge, and you end up in Manio with the land by the window. Like we don't have to stretch that. Go to the land by the window. There's a land by the window. You go there. Like it's not.
Yeah, but the scarecrow's by the window too, and his face says Nags
Yeah,
Head.
but it doesn't say to go by the scarecrow by the window. This is the land, and it's very detailed land. And it's not something that you wouldn't know if you were there. Like that outline is on all of their directional signs. Like
Right.
that's what it
But
is.
so if you're over there, how are you looking north at the wing? Is
I mean,
that north?
there's a
Because that
place you can
seems
put
like
it.
it.
I don't like I so it's
Is it straight north though?
I mean I would assume that I
Because
don't
you're
know
trying to say you went southeast and a little west and then a little this
well I'm
like
assuming that this is for people who aren't like don't have their compasses out. Like I'm assuming it's just like driving where it's like drive north. Okay. Do you drive like perfect north and drive through the woods, or do you kind of make some curves along the way and kind of go that way? You know, so you stay on the. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's
yeah. Well, and I mean like where I'm trying to be at is South Virginia Dare Trail. So if you're looking north, you're just looking straight up that road. And I mean it's like a little to the left. So I guess it would be a little west, but
So
I
is
just
it?
don't think that looking north at the wing is like that far of a stretch from up here at Nags Head.
No, I don't think it's that far of a stretch from Nags Head to look north at the wing from a pier in Nags Head. I think getting to that pier in Nags Head using the way that you have is a bit of a stretch. I think using information that's on signs, where if you were going the conventional way, and let's just throw out the end of this verse because nobody's figured it out. We don't know what the hell that means. But using the conventional way, it's a very point to point, very direct instructions on how to get from point A to point B or whatever, right? There's no real guesswork involved, and it leads you to places where along the way it gives you words from signs which you would have seen. Like if you were to follow the directions along the way, you would know about July and August. You would know about White's two maps. You would know about the dark forest because it takes you to those places. But and it's the end where it's like look north of the wing. It's the trail, and look north of the wing. It's all of that. We don't know or it's gone or whatever. But just because at the end we can't figure that out doesn't mean everything else is wrong. It doesn't mean that we
Well,
need to stretch it that far.
I feel like that whole journey is stretched far though. And why wouldn't white in the Japanese clues be said that it's a proper noun if we're looking for John White's maps?
It doesn't give you a hint on any of that. It doesn't give you a hint at all. So I don't know why Byron wouldn't give you that hint. I don't know why he wouldn't give you a hint for every line and be
Because
like, this line is a noun and this line is a noun when we know things are nouns. Like, I don't know why he would tell you in Boston, like, if I give you a hint about anything, you'll figure it all out. I don't know Byron's mind. What I know is he told us one line was a proper noun.
well, right. So with that logic, wouldn't you, if octave is lowercase in the verse and in the Japanese clue he tells you it's a proper noun, you don't think that he would clarify that for white? Why wouldn't he do that?
I don't know. But just because he didn't say something, like, doesn't mean that it's not the case. Like,
It
I
doesn't
don't.
mean it is the case.
No,
It
it's
could
the
just be
rest
a
of the
color.
it's the rest of the supporting evidence. Like it's the fact that the verse takes you on a very direct path, and then when you should understand, when you get to the point where you need to understand where white is in color in two maps, you're standing in front of a sign about Mr. White's two maps and one's in color. Like I don't know. Like I guess I just I feel like if there's that much guesswork to these puzzles, then it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It'll never you'll never do anything because if you can't trust what the man says in his puzzles, if you can't trust the words are correct, if you can't trust his hints, then what's the point of working on a puzzle?
Oh, I trust it. I just don't understand why it wouldn't be consistent the whole way down. Like if you're going to clarify that octave is a person, then why wouldn't you either make the W in white uppercase or also clarify that you're looking for a person?
I can't put you in his head. I can't put you in Byron's head. I can't tell you why he gave hints for certain things and didn't give hints for others. I don't know.
It just leads me to think that white is a color. I mean, it's just a color.
All right. Well, there are lots of things that are colors. There's lots of things that are colors. There's lots of white things that are in between two other colored things. There's lots of them. But we've picked a very specific one, a foosball table, which is fine.
Right. Well, and that goes along with me thinking that Boston and Roanoke are pairs. Boston was found in a ball field. It was sports related, which
Okay.
leads me to think that this one is also sports related, especially with the verbiage of pass and goal.
Yeah, I don't disagree with
And he,
that.
and he looks like a foosball player.
But underneath a pier is not sports related.
Well, no, it's not, but it was right by the football palace when the football palace was there.
And I mean, I don't want to disrespect nerds because I
And I
am.
mean, he's got fishing line like through the
Yeah,
loops
I
on him. Like,
I consider myself a really really hardcore nerd, but there's no way I would say that games like foosball or football is a sport. Okay. Okay,
but
so we're gonna stretch it.
it's big
Sports.
in England.
Sport.
But it's big in England.
Well, I
It's
mean,
an arcade. It's
foosball's huge here too in the '80s. Like I mean, it was a big thing. Foosball, pinball, all of that stuff. Arcades were huge back then. Okay.
um. So yeah, so foosball and a palace right by a pier. And he
All right.
looks like, I mean, he's got like lobsters on his fingers and the fishing line and yada yada. I don't know. I just think that Byron is he was taking basic stuff that you see in one spot and making it seem more poetic really than it was.
There's a guy in Rob Carajulio says foosball was the shit in the '80s. He's right. I loved foosball. Foosball was fun. John Yarbrough says I would buy this more if it ended up in a soccer field. And this is a really good question for you. If you were, let's say just for pretend, if you were to follow this verse the way it's conventionally followed, right? Like if you were to go over the Bomb Bridge and end up in Roanoke, and you were to not, I believe you continue going straight instead of turning right, or it's possible you turn right to go down, like you go over the bridge and then you turn right to go back to the Elizabethan Gardens, but before you get there, you end up in a really really big football, soccer, and baseball field. So, what is stopping your, like, what's keeping you at this foosball palace? And if you're saying this relates to sports, if you're saying, it's just like in kind of just like in Boston, what's keeping you at the foosball place and not like conventionally following this verse and going to the actual soccer field?
Um, Again, it has to do a lot with what he looks like, but also if we're leaving Boston and riding the Man of Oz, which is the Tin Man, which is Ironsides or whatever, you're just riding completely down the coast. Like you're
Okay.
so essentially you would be passing two friends of Octave in a boat, keep going down, and then you land right there. So you're riding the Man of Oz as you get there. I don't think riding the Man of Oz is the Bomb Bridge.
Okay. All right. I'm trying
And
to.
even the last part, the
No,
what
go ahead. Even the last part.
the Dauntless and Unconquerable reminds me a lot of the end of Boston's verse, where it's like the whole Paul Revere lit by lamplight thing. I mean, you're nowhere near the Old North Church. I mean, you're near it, but you're
Yeah.
not right by it either. It's almost like the distance away from that and the baseball field is the distance away from the football palace and the Wright Brothers Memorial.
It's not that far, but yeah, I get it. Okay. Have you ever been to Roanoke? If I asked you that before,
No,
you should go.
I haven't. I
You
know.
should just do a meetup in Roanoke, and then
It's like 1 whole degree up here. It sucks.
oh, it's like 60 here. It's nice. It's the only time it's
I
tolerable to
mean,
be in Florida. So
it's not a good time for Ohio.
what's stopping you from just going? Is it just like time and I guess it's time and money and
Like
stuff.
responsibilities and crap,
Yeah,
you know,
kids and
all
things,
that jazz
babies.
and things. Yeah. And jobs.
I feel Roanoke is tricky by Google Earth. You know, it's like tricky to envision distances. It's tricky to know what you can and can't see.
Right, that's true. And I mean, I honestly don't even know if you can see the Wright Brothers Memorial and the wing from there. But
From where the
if you pass it
foosball
going south, you still know that it's there.
from the pier. Is that what you're talking
You
about?
might be able to see it from the pier. Yeah.
Um, Where the hell is the pier?
But if not, you still know the general direction where it's at.
Oh no, you would never be able to see the Wright Brothers Monument from there. That's the kid. Oh wait, I'm at the wrong. Maybe I'm at the wrong pier. No, I'm at the right pier. No, because you've got those big. You've got Jockey's Ridge. It would be your problem with the pier because you've got those gigantic mountains in the way.
Always causing me problems, Jackie's Ridge.
Like, I mean, just saying from somebody that's been there, you can't see shit because of those. Like, you would have. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find. Yeah, there's no way. You wouldn't be able to see it because you've got that big marsh and all the. Yeah. Oh, there's a ball field right next to Wright Brothers. I didn't know that.
I don't know. I just don't think that he would put it in another ball field. And I know there's the Pentagon on the ground that was cut off or whatever.
Do you think? Do you think
like
that?
that's not,
Do you think that's a problem with searchers? Like some searchers now, like do you think that they're injecting their ideas of what Byron would do? Like, because if you had taken Cleveland out of the equation, there's no way I would have thought Byron would have buried in a planter based on what he said in the book. Boston out of the equation, there's no way I would have thought he would bury it in a ball field. So we're making all of these assumptions about what Byron would or wouldn't do, and we don't know.
right, but I mean, if we didn't try to do that, like we wouldn't be solving the puzzle. Like we kind of have to try to think
No,
about what Byron would do or not do.
no, we could just solve the puzzle. Like trying to consider what we think Byron would or wouldn't do has not helped us at all in the past. It's only held us back. It's the Byron wouldn't bury it in a ball field, so let's not even bother to look. You know?
Right. I mean, I don't know. Baseball doesn't scream like England to me, though, either.
No, doesn't scream Italian to me either. But it was there. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, that's where I'm at. So
Okay.
I just feel like that we've just been overcomplicating things, and myself included, because I'll research the shit out of things and I'm like, ooh, and really there was no way that that happened
You don't think
unless you had every book and
you don't think this is
what?
overcomplicating it?
No, I don't.
You don't think
I think that
the
taking 4 lines to describe maybe one area to reinforce that that's where you're supposed to be or that's where you're at.
but the stretch to get there, like it's to land by the window, meaning Roanoke, but the tin man's head looks like Nags Head, and he's made out of tin, and so is a boat. So let's drive a boat down the coast of North. You don't think that's a little overcomplicating it?
No more so than having to go around the whole Elizabethan gardens to find plaques with 2 words on them.
You don't have to go in the Elizabethan gardens to find that plaque. It's on the outside. You just gotta do what the verse tells you to do. But you know, if we were to follow your logic, you didn't have to go in there at all because you would already know what the dark forest is, and you would already know it relates to Virginia Dare.
Right, or it's just the color green, just like white is a color and not a person. Because without, I would know who John White was without
being told
having
where
to
to go,
Google that.
so you would if you followed the directions of the verse and you were taken directly to his maps.
But how, with all of this, do you think that the people in Japan would figure any of this out?
I don't think anybody in Japan would have figured it out. I don't think Byron thought anybody in Japan would have figured it out. There's no way, even with the hints, that anybody in Japan could have figured out Chicago. There's no way anybody who wasn't in
Byron
Chicago
would do?
Huh? What?
You're assuming what Byron would or wouldn't do?
No, I never okay, I'm sorry. I'll take back the fact that I said I don't think Byron cared. I don't think anybody in Japan would have figured it out. I don't think anybody in Japan would have figured out Chicago. I don't think anybody in 1982 that wasn't in Chicago would have figured out Chicago. I don't think anybody who would have figured out Cleveland if they weren't in Cleveland. I don't, Boston's kind of the same way. I mean, we have articles where Byron's like a kid in a library could figure this out. I know John's told me that Byron wanted a handicapped kid in the library to be able to figure these out. But there's no, in my opinion, no way anybody could have figured out Chicago. I mean, like the start of the verse is two names on a building that you could barely see when you're standing in front of it. They're not special names to that building. They're not in any sort of encyclopedia. You got to be there to see it. There's a fountain.
Are you sure they're not in an encyclopedia though?
Yeah. There's a fountain behind it that you're not really gonna. I mean, you can find pictures of it. It's a gorgeous fountain, but you would need to know where it was. I mean, part of the verse has to do with a hotel, for God's sakes. So I don't think there's any way anybody outside of Chicago could have figured that out. I mean, how would you know what a fence post looks like if you weren't in Chicago? If you were a kid in Japan, how are you going to figure out that fence post? You can't.
Well, I think that is the I feel like narrowing down the city and the area of the city is where the boots on the ground comes in. So like, yeah, I think that you could get close enough to figuring out the city.
Mm-hmm. And then you got to go boots on the ground.
Probably
right?
Right.
So just like in Roanoke, where it tells you the land by the window, and then you figure out the city, and you got to go boots on the ground to figure out everything else. It gives you directions, takes you right to White's maps, takes you right to July and August, takes you right to the dark forest. I mean, it's what, the third line? Fourth line.
The fourth.
I mean, that's just. I mean, who knows who's right? And I guess it doesn't matter because I think this conversation is what's important. I mean, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
That's your favorite thing. Just kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
Like, it's hard for me, right? Because like, everybody wants to have these conversations, but not everybody wants me to disagree, and it's just my opinion. I've solved just as many of these as you have. Like, my opinion is not any better than yours. I feel like in my opinion, some of this stuff is a little bit of a stretch, but what do I know? If it works for you, it's great. If you're having fun, awesome.
Well, no, I don't want it to work for me. I just want to figure it out. I just feel like these things are more in a more condensed area than what we're assuming or what we've been looking at for so long.
Okay. I mean, I would not disagree with that at all. Because this is the only one that seems to take you on any kind of journey. So if there was one that was going to be like drastically wrong, it would make sense that it would be this one. Because it's the one that's most different from all the others. Right? Like, which other verse takes you 10 miles?
It's still similar to Boston. That's why I think, I don't know.
No, it's okay. I mean, continue. It's fine.
No, I'm just trying to think.
Oh.
This could take a while.
What's fun about this conversation is we're both like, it seems like you're tired and I'm tired.
Sunday, sleep day. Yeah, but I don't know. Gift giver, I really think that, what did he say? He said something like, you keep trying to find all these poetic things to explain these words, and really it's just a sign.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Byron took just like really basic stuff and was like, just like added theatrics and poetry and whatever, and really it's like a football palace and a pier.
Okay.
Or not,
No, I mean, it's fine. And the
Also,
another
with
side.
the whirling dervishes, you can't go 360 on a foosball table. It's illegal.
You can't?
Mm. No, you're not
Really?
allowed to just spin that thing, which is kind of how I play because,
Yeah.
I don't do sports with air quotes or without like
No, I was never
spinning.
good at foosball. I could never do it. I couldn't like
No,
keep track of the ball. That sucked.
actually, foosball comes from a German word. Maybe that's what dark forest means is the Black Forest, Germany.
There's one guy in the comments that's really amped about talking about like numbers and stuff. I haven't been paying attention to the comments because I can't see it.
December and 12 could also be the milepost because that's right at the milepost 12.
What is the foot? Is it
Nags Head
football?
Pier. Yeah. That it was called the Football
Why
Palace,
did they
but it's
call it the
foosball
football palace?
because it's German. And
Yeah,
if
Rob
you heard German
Caragilia was
words,
trying to correct us too. He's like, it's foosball. I know it's foosball. She knows it's foosball. The people in Nags Head calls it
it was
footsball.
called. Yeah.
I thought for so long, like when I was reading that, I was like, she's just mispronouncing this shit. She's got to be like, she doesn't even
No,
know it's foosball. And then I looked and I was like, oh my god, they really did call it footsball.
they did. Yeah. Foosball's the devil.
That was a great reference.
It's so good. But yeah, and ironically, they don't have feet. They're squares. There's your circle and there's your square.
They're can't, not okay.
They don't have arms. They don't have legs. This is the dumbest game.
So what do you like? Every time we talk about Roanoke. Do you only look at Roanoke? It's like not even the
No,
one
I just
closest to
really
you.
love like the beach and January
Oh,
because I like me.
okay.
And my birthday is in January. So,
Happy
No, I've been
birthday.
looking at the others too. Thanks.
When is your birthday?
Same to you.
Oh, thank
It
you.
was the 11th.
Oh, well, happy just kind of late birthday.
111. Very lucky. Not so lucky. But no, I've been looking at all of them really. And I think that New York and San Francisco are literal bookends. I think they're near libraries.
All right. I've heard some really good stuff for the library and the one in Manhattan and the one in Brooklyn, I guess. So there's been
Yeah,
some
the
good
New York
ideas.
Public Library I really like in Bryant Park, but it was completely dug up, which is really sad.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
we also thought Boston was completely dug up, so there's always hope. I
Well,
mean,
and there were still trees left around it, and I mean with taking twice as many steps as the hour, it could put you in those trees, but
see, that's so vague to
roots are
me.
always a problem.
Like New York verse just seems vague. Like the rest of them don't. They seem direct, for the most part. Like I know there's some stuff we don't understand, so we can kind of not discard it, but compartmentalize it from the parts that we do understand. But the parts that we understand are very direct. But New York, it's like New York's the only one after 40 years that there's not a general consensus of anything. It's just so vague.
Well, when you start out with in the shadow of the gray giant, and all New York is a bunch of gray giants in buildings, it's like it's hard.
Yeah.
But I still think I think that the bookend idea, I mean, they even look like bookmarks because of the curved shape up top.
Yeah.
And then the middle of one branch of the V, it's on Fifth Avenue, and I feel like that's the whirring sound and where cars abound and the
You want
arches out front.
you want to make fun of me? You can totally make fun of me because I have the most
I mean, let's
outlandish
do it.
idea. I have the most outlandish idea for New York. I don't think it was buried. I think it was in the Bantam Building, which is the dead center. It takes up one half of the dead center block of Fifth Avenue. The Bantam Buildings had two floors. It was the 22nd and 23rd floor. Or it was the 23rd and the 24th, but minus the 13th, because that building didn't have a 13th floor. And I think you had to go to the middle of Fifth Avenue and go up to that floor and find the correct person and just get the casque. I didn't even think it was buried. So there,
Really?
make fun of me. Yeah. Yeah.
You're weird.
Yeah, I'm weird.
That's strange. Is this why the anniversary casket isn't buried?
Huh?
Anyway, I said, is this why the anniversary casket isn't buried?
No, that's not
I'm
why.
just kidding. I'm gonna have to look up where that was though,
The Bantam
in
building?
relation to the library.
It was like
Yeah.
it was like 666 Fifth Avenue, I think was the address.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
that's happy.
It was like if you like look at the blocks of Fifth Avenue, it was the dead center of Fifth Avenue. And it took up one half of that city block.
I just wonder if it's north or south of the library.
I don't know.
I don't
Let's
know.
find out.
I mean, yeah. Looking at New York streets makes me dizzy.
Directions. Library. It was a little north. It was north.
The Bantam building was north of the library.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That could be the gaze north of the Isle of B.
Why do you think it was the Bantam building? I find that interesting. I don't know. There's lots of weird stuff that doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
Byron was there too.
Byron was there,
So,
and there's the hint about the chicken and that being Bantam's fucking logo was a rooster. Like, it's because New York, there's no start, there's no end, and
Books.
I'm not there, so it's hard to formulate any sort of idea. So I feel like it's the one where I'm like most other searchers, where I'm just grasping at stuff that doesn't make any, like, it doesn't totally make sense, and it's not probably not correct, but it's fun to like think about. Sorry, I was answering a comment.
Well, I mean, even the wordplay and chicken, if it gets you to Dickens, it's still an author, and that's a book. And Bantam made books.
I don't know. That building's gone now.
And
There's
those
nobody
dots, those colored dots, are like Dewey Decimals to me.
All right. But there's no way to test it. There's no way to even really talk about it with anybody. Because, like, if you're looking for hymn of heart, like, I always imagine, like, if this is correct, and I don't think it is, but it's, like, it's a fun brain exercise. I always imagine that you have to go up these elevators. You're looking for hymn of hard word, and you're staring at, like, a directory or something. And it just makes sense. Because in all the other verses, they're really cryptic until you know the answer, and then the answer is just like, oh, that makes sense. It's stupid. And I always imagine it's going to be something like that, but I don't know.
It's not as epic as I was hoping.
What?
Well, Bryant Park, I was trying to say that that's what you were thinking. Bryant Park was like, it's, I think, 3 different sections. So it's like 3 volumes of Bryant Park. And then there's a statue of him. And that leads me to think that that's him of hard word.
Mm,
Because his name's in the statue.
I am looking up Bryant Park. There we go. Oh, I've been there. They had like food vendors and shit when I went. It was busy. When I went to New York, somebody wanted me to dig in Bryant Park. And I went and I looked at it and I was like, nope, they're having like a thing. Anyway.
I can't imagine New York ever not having things just all the time.
Yeah, but like when in New York, it's easy to blend in. Nobody really cares
Yeah.
what you're doing. But when they're having like a big, like a festival thing, it becomes difficult. Most of the time, people in New York just keep to themselves and they leave you alone. They're like, oh, there's a crazy guy digging in a park. It must be Tuesday.
Right? Eating a hot dog.
Yeah. There's a homeless guy. There was like a
I think
homeless
that
guy that was following Rachel around in New York, yelling at her. It was fun.
yelling at her, see, that
Yeah,
would terrify me.
I just want you. You need to respect me. You're just ignoring me and showing me no respect. And then it was like, I think it was me, Bradley, and Nick Canuck, who just like turned around and looked at him, and that yelling stopped real quick.
I mean, there's nothing like hearing all that and then wanting to turn around and be like, hell, hey, sorry, I was ignoring you.
Yeah.
Probably not the best way to get someone to say hi. It's fine.
Well, anyway.
I think San Francisco's at the Eureka/Harvey Milk Library also. I think that's how Stonewall's door ties into that.
Just because Stonewall's in New York, right?
Like the Stonewall riots or whatever.
Isn't that in New York? Was that in
Yeah.
San Francisco? Oh, it was in New York, yeah. Okay,
No,
so
it was in New York.
just because of the Castro. Okay, I get you.
I think it's by a flagpole there. And like Twain's attention, it's right by Pond Road. And Twain was a fisherman. Like, I feel like, again, we've just been overthinking and over researching and
Well, overthinking, yeah, but when you think of Mark Twain, you don't think fisherman. Like, everybody was a fisherman. In the same way Mark Twain was a fisherman. He wasn't like a pro fisherman. He wasn't known for being a fisherman. He just fished because everybody fished.
well, right, but he also wrote books. So you
Yeah.
have a Pond Street by a library.
I don't think you see what I'm getting at. If you're going to reference Twain for fishing, you could have referenced anybody. You could have been like the object of Washington's attention. Because George Washington also fished. You know?
Right, but George Washington wasn't as famous of an author as Twain was to
But
get
what
us
is
to the
him
library.
having? Okay, because it's near a library. Then you could have said the object of Dickens' attention, or the object of Whitman's attention, or the object of Asimov's attention, the object of Vonnegut's attention. They all fish.
Well, he has to pick one. I mean, he could have used several other names for the wall off the
Okay,
Greek cultural gardens too, but he chose three.
that's true. All right.
I'm gonna call that one a win right there. That's 1 point for me.
You do that. I don't understand. You're like, we need to keep it simple. Mark Twain fished. He was an author. It's by a library. Pond. Now, we don't care about the author part. We don't care about the library part, except that it's sort of adjacent to the pond. We care about the pond part, the fishing. Even though Mark Twain's not known for fishing. Like, you have to make that leap yourself. Like, it's not... I don't even think he wrote, like... You just have to... It's a weird leap. It's like saying it's near the sidewalk. Because Mark Twain walked on sidewalks. You know? It's like, you're giving me a puzzled face, but it's exactly like that.
I
It's
can't
like...
change my face. It's wrong.
Well, it's essentially like you can remove the pond and insert anything. And you can be like, because Mark Twain did X. But Mark Twain wasn't known for doing X. You know? Does it make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's just still the library.
Okay.
That didn't go as well as I had imagined. It's fine.
So what else would you like to talk about? Are you having fun with the anniversary hunt? You can talk about that. Are you having fun with that?
Yeah, when I'm not ripping my hair out and beating my head against a wall and,
It really shouldn't cause you to do that. It's not that difficult.
I'm glutton for punishment. No, it's just, no, I really think that I have a grasp on it now. I really do. I sent you an email, like, no rush. Okay.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure to get it in yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. Because, like, the day before yesterday, I responded to everything that I had. Because somebody made a
No, I really
comment.
wanted to get it in by January 13th.
Somebody, like, made a snarky comment online, and then I got, like, 1,700 Facebook messages. And then I got a bunch of messages on 12 Treasures about the anniversary. I probably got, like, 10 from that. It was like they were typing in 2 words, and then they would hit send on the little send email form. And I got like 10.
Ugh.
It was crazy. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll respond to all these messages. And then some. And then another guy
Oh,
went nuts
good.
on Discord. It's almost like the crazies are coming to the anniversary hunt. You guys got to be careful.
There's just more of them, like, I don't know, every day. Some of
Like
the stuff.
the
Just
crazies.
like, yeah, there's a whole lot. But
Nah, I mean, it seems like people are having fun.
yeah. And I mean, good for you for responding because I can't imagine the amount of messages you get.
There's a couple that I haven't responded to. There's only been like two that I know of that have just been like rude, and I'm like, I'm not gonna even entertain this.
Oh, that's
The rest
good.
of them have been okay.
It's been fun crazy.
Yeah, all
Fun
right.
crazy is better than rude crazy, I guess.
It generally is. Are you okay? You seem
So,
annoyed.
no, I'm not. Oh
Okay, good.
man, it's my face, isn't it?
No, no, it was
It's
your
my
tone. You were just
face.
like, oh fuck, whatever. Fun crazy is better than crazy. You just
Oh
seem
no, just
annoyed.
as stupid as a stupid does. No, I'm not.
Okay, good, good.
It's my face and my voice is a real problem. I've been described as the woman that looks like she's mean, but she's not. So
I have never found you to be mean, ever.
that's good.
Yeah.
I try not to be.
How is your like?
So yeah.
I'm gonna ask this question in a vague way that you'll understand, but so I don't dox things. How's your town doing? Are you guys okay?
Yeah, I just really wish everybody would leave. I'm pretty sure we're just gonna get our name changed to like Norfolk Southern Steen or something.
I don't get
They're
that.
just still all here.
Okay. I get what you're saying now. Yeah. I was gonna say when you're
Yeah.
like, I wish everybody would leave. I'm like, yeah, I feel that in a tourist town. I wish everybody would
No,
just
yeah.
just get out.
No, all the other people. It's just crazy. I mean, there's roads dug up constantly. They keep saying that everything's fixed, and then they're like, 6 more months, 6 more months. It's not been fun.
Rob
We were a small
Caragiolo.
town, and now it's just like a bunch of traffic.
Rob Caragiolo asked if the five people who ever found out that they were close ever found out who they were. Oh, they know. They know.
They do know?
Yeah, but it's not because I told them, but they know. I didn't tell
You're
them.
sure that they know?
Oh yeah.
Well, so then what do
Well,
you think they're missing then?
the forest. They're missing the forest.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
That's the
they're
easiest way I can
looking
answer that
to
question without giving anything away. They're missing the forest.
for the
I'd say
happy
it's.
little trees.
I would say it's not five though. It's probably down to like two. That know. Because there were a couple that like just went in a completely different direction, and then I think one just stopped because I haven't gotten an email, and they may be working. I just haven't gotten an email.
But like within a quarter mile radius, that's a pretty small area. So I mean, you can't really be looking too in detail, I feel like.
That comment will make more sense when you know the end. It will make no sense until then, and it will not be helpful to you. I mean, it's helpful to you in that you're missing the forest, but it will make a lot more sense in the end.
Where the line with the clay is. That end.
No, in the end of the puzzle.
I know. Never mind.
I know. He's just trying to extract information. And what sucks for
I'm totally not.
what sucks for hunters, and I know that it's the same with John, right? Like people want to know things from John, so a lot of the questions that we ask in interviews come from other people, right? So they form these questions from John, and they're like, "I think I can extract information," and then John gives them the information, and then it either gets overthought or they don't know what he's trying to say, and it's like it just confuses them more. So I feel like that's you guys' downfall. Like I've talked so much about this stuff that you have no idea what I'm trying to say, and everything's kind of puzzling, and it's just confusing you more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think
I
everybody
feel
should just
like,
focus on the puzzle.
right.
But it's gonna end
Well, I
soon.
finally
How long until it
like
ends?
I left Anderson finally, so that's
Oh,
good.
I did that like 10 years ago. It was fun. That was a joke. Sorry.
No, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. It's my face again.
How long until it ends? 252 days. You think he was gonna find it?
Do I think what?
You think anybody's gonna find it?
Um, I hope so.
Me too.
I would think so. I think that I definitely think that we've been looking too much into details rather than the bigger picture. And I feel like it makes sense now. Like, I'll probably get the keep trying email and, you know, that'll be a good time as it usually is. But I still think I'm in the right area this time.
Someone named Tolkien Study says we have the chemistry of a married couple who hate each other.
Because we're both goats. Just like Capricorns, just button heads.
But it's at least, like, I feel it's at least respectful. Do you feel it's at least respectful? You can answer
No,
that
yeah.
honestly. Okay, good.
No, yeah, I think so. I wouldn't want to come on and do these if I felt like you were just mean and disrespectful the whole time.
It's so much fun, like, to talk about alternative ideas, because like I'm not just blowing smoke when I say that, just like you said earlier, that some of these ideas could spark ideas for other people, right? It's so difficult to talk about very specific things without sounding dismissive, you know? Because when it's your idea
Right.
versus my idea, it's not an intellectual conversation. It's just like who's right and who's the better arguer, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah, and I
it's
just
it's just hard to have those overarching like the last stream when we were doing like the columns, and it was Chris and Graydon and all of them. Like, it's hard to have a conversation like that without it devolving into my idea is better than your idea.
right. I haven't gotten to watch that one yet, but that's an interesting thing too. And there's a lot of similarities between the verses and the wording and even the paintings themselves, like Roanoke and Boston. They look a lot alike
Yeah.
in the background. The
Well, so
Stonewall and the
since you
blue.
haven't since you haven't watched it, what we were trying to do is start at the front of the book. You know how the book gives you a bunch of different information about different things
Right.
that seem to sort of tie into the puzzle. We were using specifically the words. We weren't really focused on the image at all. We were going through the front of the book up to the verses and trying to figure out what specific information it gave you, and then put them into columns to see if that would
Oh.
help you narrow down smaller areas. Like in the St. Augustine puzzle, in the front of the book, it talks about the Fountain of Youth. Like, right? Like, when it's talking about the Spanish phase, it also talks about the Fountain of Youth. So it gives you two pieces of information, Spanish and Fountain of Youth, right in that same spot. So we were seeing if we could take that information and organize it in a way to where by the time you get to the verses, you have, 25-30% of the information you need to solve the puzzle. It was a fun
I
conversation.
gotcha. See, I was under the impression more like make columns for things just with the paintings and the verses. Not so much like the front of the book, like the story and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I just feel like I think the litany, the verses, and the paintings are really what you need.
Yeah.
That's it.
I put myself in sort of an awkward position as someone who doesn't really necessarily push the back of the book by saying the front of the book we know was written by Byron, and it's an awful lot of very specific information about very specific things to just be, you know, not really usable in any way. And in interviews and stuff, Byron seems to break the book into two different sections, front of the book and the back of the book. And it seems odd that he would put forth the effort to write this very specific stuff in the front of the book and then say the front of the book is important and that whole section of text not be important for any reason. And when you start putting things in columns, the information is very helpful. It seems to be anyway. I mean, we haven't solved anything with it yet, but it seems to be very
Did
helpful.
you make any patterns?
Uh, not
Like, have you
yeah,
noticed any patterns?
yeah, a few, but it's hard when you don't know what information you're looking for to remove your bias, right? So
Yeah.
it's when your bias comes into play, you can make patterns for just about anything, right? If you're looking for baseball stuff for Boston, you're going to find some baseball stuff for Boston. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to make those columns when you don't know what information you're looking for. I think everybody on that stream made some sort of columns, and I don't know, it just wasn't. It was helpful. At least the conversation was at least helpful. But I don't know that anything came of it. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
think the gift giver. I don't think they're meant to help like old searchers. I don't even think they're meant to help searchers like yourself who have been doing it for a couple of years. I think they're meant for like bare bones basic. You just join the groups, people. You know.
Yeah, but I really feel like we should maybe all take a step back and maybe start over that way again.
I don't
I
disagree
don't
with
know.
that at
I
all.
feel like the last hint I really feel like gave more insight than the other ones. Like I still don't understand the P thing on the spoon, other than it maybe being pinball.
I mean, I think
The whirling dervishes.
if we were to take, like, it's been a long time, but from what I remember about that post, it's like it was something like, how would you know if it was how would you know it was a pea if there wasn't a spoon, right? But that kind of, I mean, like to me it seemed like it was trying to say like an artist an artist can only give you information one way. You know, you have to have a clue, but then you have to have things that support or explain that clue, right? So if the P is the clue, you
Put it
have to
into
figure out,
context or whatever.
yeah, you have to figure out a way to make a green circle mean P. You know what I'm saying? So what
Yeah,
do? You put it in a spoon. That doesn't necessarily make the spoon important, except in context of the P. That's what
right.
I
But
was
with all the
thinking
talk
of.
about balance and stuff too, I don't know. I feel like the
I have
spoon
no
is
idea what
important
any of that
somehow.
means.
What?
Yeah, the balance and all the talk about balance and movement, I have no idea. Add one thing to another or subtract, like, I have no idea what any of that means.
It sounds like keeping score to me. I don't know.
It's possible.
And like the pentagon in the floor, it's also the shape on a soccer ball.
Yeah,
Just saying.
but I think that's what is at least that section of that post was about. It was like trying to say, remember, not everything's a clue. Some things are just there to explain the clue to you or to give the clue context or make the clue more apparent. You know, like the Bowman being a weather vane in Chicago. Weather vane isn't important. The building it's on isn't important. The Bowman is. It just everything else gives structure to the Bowman. Sort of
Well, do
in
you
that
think that
way.
could apply to the verse too? So like even though you think that past two friends of Octave in December, if that's North Carolina and North Carolina, you're like that's just basically describing the same thing, but what if it's just trying to give it more context?
I mean, I do 100% think there could be like flowery language in the verses. I think we've seen that in Chicago, Boston, and Cleveland. But I don't think you can take away three-quarters of a line, especially when it's instructive, like instructive language. It's telling you to do something. I don't think you can remove that and say it's flowery language. I think you can take away brush music hush and be like, that's flowery language because it's after you've already dug, it's after everything's been described, you're not doing anything. But I don't think you can take past three friends of Octave and remove past three friends of and just focus on Octave. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's two styles of puzzle. I really think that like Cleveland and Chicago work the same way. Like they
Kinda,
both
yeah.
have the state outline. they both had like one had the water tower, the other one had the terminal tower, whereas Boston was like it was just different. It threw a wrench into everything, and I feel like that's how Roanoke's is too. Like Boston's verse kind of described everything in one spot,
Well, Cleveland's verse also
more or
kind of
less.
described everything in one spot.
Kind of, I mean, I guess you still had to like go upstairs though. Like you still had to, there was still movement there, just like Chicago.
Yeah.
Like you had to know where M and B were and the Fountain of the Great Lakes and the Bowman and eventually end up in Grant Park.
Yeah. But like the cultural gardens are smaller than my house. You know, like it's the cultural gardens are tiny. So the movement for the cultural gardens was minimal. I think that's why people often rearrange Cleveland because you really can. You can write Cleveland out however the hell you want. You can mix and match all the lines and still end up in the exact same place because you're working like a 200 square foot area. You know,
I disagree.
you don't think you can rearrange them?
No, I think that you need it in the order that it's in.
Why?
Because I mean, you start beneath because you because that's where you start. You start beneath two countries as the road curves, and you're beneath um, the Italian garden and the Greek garden. And then you've got to walk up the steps and yada yada yada, and then you've got to seek the columns. Like I feel
Well,
like the seek the columns thing, it almost is like a game of hide and seek to me. So like if you're playing hide and seek, like you need to be on the other side of the wall,
okay.
like while the columns are hiding, right? So like you aren't watching where they're going or whatever. It's like hide and seek. So to seek the columns for the search tells me that you need to be on the other side of the wall to be able to seek something. Like you're not
Okay.
going to find it if it's already right in front of you.
All right, but okay. You would that would be disagreeing with a bunch of people, but that's fine. Your opinion's fine. I mean,
That's I'm
I
used
could
to
see
that.
taking I could see taking starting just I mean like you could, there's a certain section of this that you really can't rearrange, and that's from beneath the 10th stone to of the wall facing bricks. So there's four lines that would need to remain basically in the same spot. But the rest of them, I mean, not in the same spot. They would have to remain together. You could put them basically anywhere in the verse as long as they stayed together. And the rest of it you could do wherever because it's really just like describing a park. It's describing these things that you see. And then in the end, telling you to go back to the columns for the search. You could describe like you could look at them in any order you want. They're all in the same place. You're not moving. You're standing in the same place. I mean, it doesn't. Other than hopping up some steps, there's no movement in this verse.
That's yeah, but that's the thing. You would have to start with beneath two countries in order to hop up. Like you would have to start below them in order to
What are
go
the
up
two
those
countries
steps to
that?
hop.
What are the two countries you think? What do you think beneath two countries means? It's something nobody can agree on,
Um,
so there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer.
well, I mean, it would be the Italian garden that's right there where the road is like what is that? It's Martin Luther King Drive down at the bottom, right?
Yeah,
Which used to be Liberty Street.
Liberty.
I can't remember what the other road is that like curves up around it, but
I
I
don't
mean that's
remember.
basically the end of the Italian garden. And then the
Mm-hmm.
Greek garden's right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean the L Bell is telling you Liberty Street, which is now Martin Luther King, whatever.
Right.
So that's the road that you start on, and you're
Mm.
beneath those two countries.
You're beneath the
And it's
Greek and the
interesting because
Italian gardens. I'm just trying
yeah,
to
on that
focus on the
road, yeah.
two countries. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you know it's the Greek puzzle, so you're going to that country's garden.
Okay.
And it's interesting because that Thucydides or whatever, however you say that, and Xenophon are also on the Greek cultural garden wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what leads Boston's verse. And you're right next to the Italian garden.
Okay.
Like I feel like that kind of leads into Boston. So I kind of feel like these are all linked somehow. We just don't know maybe how interwoven they are yet, because we haven't solved that many.
I don't know that I would necessarily disagree with that. I feel like I don't think we're gonna find the answer to that question about whether they're all linked by brute force. I think, sort of like what was implied in the gift giver post, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to figure it out, right? If it's a decent puzzle, it could just be a crap puzzle, and we'll never know.
I don't know. I think that he was pretty smart, and I just
I'm
think
not
that we're
saying
overcomplicating
I'm not
things.
saying he's not smart. Like when you say somebody made a bad puzzle, that does not imply that they're not a smart person. It just means they don't know how to make a
Right.
puzzle. You know, it was his first one. He's allowed to be bad at it. I mean, it took Kit Williams. It took him 2 years locked inside of a shed to come up with the masquerade, and that's one puzzle that's arguably less complicated than the secret. And he focused on it for 2 years. Byron had 1 year to make 12. You know, it's not going to be
Right.
perfect. So saying
Right.
like
And I mean, we can't really say.
I feel like people like think I insult Byron when I say that it's a bad puzzle, but I don't. He's a smart guy. He was good at business. It just didn't make a great puzzle, maybe, in my opinion.
Which is hard to say because, I mean, until they're all found, like, we don't know really
Yeah,
if they do
yeah.
mix
I,
or, you know.
what makes it even harder is like I'm basing that opinion on my experience with other puzzles that came after him. You know, he wouldn't have had those examples to go off. He's basically like going into a genre and he's like creating a new genre. You know, he has no template. So
Right.
he has no idea what's going to be, you know, a good clue for people. He has no idea. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just gonna keep working on them.
Yeah,
Maybe get down to Roanoke.
you should. Have you been to any of the cities?
I should. Um, no, just Cleveland. I
You
went to
been,
Louisville though a couple times for the tribute.
but you have gone to the cultural gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I may or may not have dug up the planner again after the anniversary hunt came out before I knew that Cleveland was eliminated. I
Yeah.
mean, may or may not.
Sorry about that. Did you find
Definitely
any?
did.
Did you find any plexiglass? I mean, there's like a whole bunch of
No,
casks still in there.
I know we were looking for it,
Yeah.
and it really is crazy because I mean, we were there digging for a while, and like
Nobody bothers you.
nobody came around, even with
Yeah.
all those.
So
Yeah, no, we were hoping to find something, but
I'm really surprised. I think everybody at this point focuses on the area where they found the cask, and all the other pieces are spread out a little more. But oh, Rob's like, is the anniversary your first, George? No, no, it's not. There you go.
I looked at that legacy one again. No,
Yeah, that
I'm not,
one.
I'm
Those
not
were
like a
fun.
cipher person.
No, those are heavy ciphers. Heavy
Yeah,
ciphers.
I was like, well, those look like color blocks, and so I looked that up, and I was like, nope, that's not for me.
Color. Which one's the color blocks one?
I don't know. It looked like there was color block in the one video for a legacy. When you guys were walking across the
The
street, like
one
back
where
behind it.
that thing's never gonna get
It's like in a
solved,
window.
and it's fine. I should probably just take it down and explain how to solve it. It's not as hard as they are color blocks. It's one of those things
And
where
that's
like
as far as I got.
yeah, it's not as difficult as it's all. It's almost as
It's
if you take those color blocks and assign a letter to them, it's helpful.
okay
Yeah.
for you. hmm Is it like easy, like anniversary hunt easy?
I mean, it's not. It's so when I say it's easy, like there's different levels of easy. If you're a cipher guy, it's it's easy to spot. Like if you're a puzzle guy, like that kind of puzzle, not like secret kind of puzzle. But if you're a puzzle person, it's easy to spot what's important in that video and what's not, and then you just figure out what the important thing means. And generally, you know, you've got to extract information, so like those color blocks have to give you information in some way. And the easiest way for them to give you information is if each color represents a letter or a number, you know?
That
And
makes
then
sense.
you
Yeah.
realize that you only got to figure out the pattern once because it's the pattern and then the pattern reversed and then the pattern again. And I forget, I don't remember if it flips more than that. But if you can assign
No.
the colors letters in some way, all of a sudden you have a code. Now you just got to figure out how to break the code. Or if it's a code that you have to break or a code you have to use somewhere else. Because I still maintain
You're saying code way too much.
well, it's
So many codes.
I still maintain that puzzle's been out for years and nobody's figured out the puzzle part of it. I think nobody's found the puzzle part. They just see the code.
It's not going to be me either, so.
I could walk you through it. And then you'd be like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah, see, I need to do more of those because I'm seriously awful. If it's not a Caesar cipher and I can't just like shift the alphabet, just forget it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be, if you're either a cipher person or you're not, you know? And it's fine.
That's why I like The Secret. It's more like wordplay.
Yeah.
I'm better at wordplay.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
We've gone for an hour and a half. So would you like to talk
We
about
have.
anything else, or are we done? Or do you want to end?
no, I think we're good.
Okay. Do you want to tell everybody bye, but you have to hang out for a second after we end?
Okay, bye, and I know it's not football. Foosball.
It's foosball.
Foosball.
North Carolina people.
And still the devil.
Can't.
Yeah.